It's adventure time, but this time it's just a man trip. So Steve and I are heading down to St. George to the Off-Road Wrecker Games. And so I'm not really sure what this is going to be like because this is the first time it's ever happened, but we're going to be driving down there and checking it out. I'm going to just quickly show you a little bit of the charging logistics here in my Tesla Model S 85D. And so the drive down is going to be about 4 hours roughly. And right now what I've done is I've navigated us down to the Beaver supercharger because I know that that's where we're going to need to charge. And so right now it's estimating that we would get there with 5% remaining on the battery. Now that being said, right now the car is still charging and it's at 98%. So I'm going to wait for a little bit more, and I think that we'll probably be able to drive straight to the Beaver supercharger because we've been able to do that just fine previously. But worst case scenario, if we have to, we'll stop at the Nephi supercharger here just for a little bit. I wanted to show how I am charging the Tesla right now. So this is the Tesla app, and you can see right now it's pulling 11 amps, and that is 3 kilowatts. And where it's getting its power from is actually my travel trailer RV electrical system, which is this here on the screen. This is the Victron monitoring portal app on my phone. So right now you can see the AC loads up here. The car is pulling 2,500 watts. And then down here where it says discharging on the bottom left corner, it shows 10% remaining on the RV battery. And right now that battery is being discharged at varying amounts depending on the solar yield, which you can see over here on the bottom right side, showing currently 2 kilowatts coming in from the solar panels, and that moves according to the clouds and things like that, so it kind of bounces around a little bit. That just gives you a quick little primer on my little project that I do on the side, keeping my RV battery from getting full so that I can see exactly what the solar panels are capable of producing all year. Bye, girls.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
I'll see you when I get home. We are now on the freeway. We got Steve here with me. Welcome,
hey.
Steve. We're still estimating that we need to slow down. It's now down to 3% estimated arrival, and we do have a little bit of a headwind, so we decided we're going to go ahead and stop at the Nephi supercharger and just charge for a couple of minutes so that we have a better safety margin. So now we're going to be getting there in 3 minutes, and we'll be at 65%. So this is what the energy consumption has been over the last 30 miles, and so that's a little higher than usual when we drive down south. And it's probably because it's winter time, so we're going to have to charge a little bit extra. It looks like we topped out at 43 kilowatts. We've been here for 22 minutes, and we've added 16% to the battery, and it's now estimating that we'll get to the Beaver supercharger with 10% remaining, so we're going to unplug and go. We have a pretty gnarly headwind right now, so our energy consumption is pretty high at 466 watt hours per mile, and right now it's estimating arriving there at 6%. Right now, this is what the energy consumption has been over the last 30 miles. We're up to about 530 watt hours per mile, and you can see we've been going over mountains, so it's been quite high at times, and we still have a pretty gnarly headwind. So I'm glad to be charged at the Nephi supercharger because we'd have to be driving really slow right now if we had not done that. We're arriving at the Beaver supercharger. These are the original ones, these 4 that were here back in 2019 when we bought our car, and they're bagged over now, so they're not using those. These are the 4 that they added after that in like 2020, and those are now closed as well. These are the new superchargers over this way, and there's I think about 24 of them. There used to be a car wash right here, and that car wash is gone. We actually haven't been to this supercharger since they removed this car wash, so this is the first time that I've seen it. So we're gonna get plugged in here and see how fast we charge. It looks like the charge rate got up to 130 kilowatts. Look at that. That's the maximum that this car will do. And we're down to 5% on the battery, so that's good. That's not surprising. I expected that. We're going to be charging here for about 35 minutes before we continue on our way. Maybe a little bit longer because we do need some excess battery for driving around where we're going. It's now been 10 minutes. We're at 29%, and charge rate is at 82 kilowatts. We've added 69% to the battery, and it's telling us that we can go now. And it's now estimating that we'll get to our destination at 29%. But I need to do a little bit of fixing of my navigation here because we're going down to Sand Hollow, but then we're going to go to some other places around as well. So I'm going to do that and show you what the update is. It's showing that we'll get to our hurricane destination and then our next stop and then the supercharger with 20% remaining. That's a good safety margin in my book, and we're going to take off. Well, as an update, there are a lot of people arriving early to check in, which is awesome. That's good. And so if you look in front of me, you can see there's 2 lanes of people waiting. And if you look out this way, it loops around the back end of that parking lot and comes around and goes all the way to the front end of the parking lot. And there's a whole big long line of cars behind us. So needless to say, we're going to be here in line waiting for some time while we wait to get registered. We ended up getting here with 21% on the battery, and then we're going to go to another house, and if we can't charge quickly there, then we'll go to the St. George supercharger, which right now it's estimating will arrive there at 12%. After maybe 20-minute, would you say it was that wait?
Yeah.
Maybe 20-minute wait. We got our wristbands and our t-shirts, parking pass, stuff like that. And now we're heading to the house where we're going to be staying tonight. We'll see what percentage we get there at. All right, we just got here to the house we're staying in, and the battery's down to 13%. This is the window sticker that they gave us for parking at Sand Hollow during the event. And then they also gave us, so this sticker right here is just a generic sticker to put on whatever you want. And then they have a t-shirt that's in the bag that has this same logo on it. And then the wristbands that it came with are actually pretty unique. They're a fabric kind of ribbon material. I'm gonna go scout it out, see if we can charge here or not overnight, and if not, I'll go to the nearby supercharger and I'll let you know what I find out. The entire drive down was 319 miles, and we drove for 5 hours and 4 minutes, but that includes the time waiting in line to check in at the event and driving to the house we stayed in. The average efficiency for the entire drive was 70%, which isn't that great due to the headwind. Typically, when we drive this route, we get around 80 to 85% efficiency. The entire drive down used 143 kilowatt hours, which at the average residential price for electricity in Utah of 10 cents per kilowatt hour, that could have cost $14.30. The price per kilowatt hour at superchargers these days is typically around 35 to 39 cents per kilowatt hour, so this electricity could have cost closer to $50. My Model S has free supercharging though, so it was free. It is now the next morning, and I just wanted to show you the charging setup that I have here at the house. Looking at the screen, you can see it's currently at 24 amps and 241 volts, so it's getting 6 kilowatts from the house. This is how we've been charging. You can see the cable is coming along over this way through the garage, and then we have the mobile connector plugged into my 50 amp RV extension cord, and then it's coming along the garage floor over this way into this interior door of the house, and then around over here to the laundry room, and then the dryer has a NEMA 1430 outlet right here. This is the 1430 plug shape you can see there, and I have it as an adapter that's going to the NEMA 1450 plug. This is what NEMA 1450 looks like, and that's the extension cord. And I'll put a card above to the video I made about my adapters and how I can adapt to many different types of outlets like this one. And so it's able to charge the car, no problem, from this overnight. One little pro tip, it is always a good idea to first check the circuit breaker, and it always shows how many amps that circuit can handle. It says 30 right there. And then if you're going to be charging continuously for more than 3 hours, you need to go down to 80% of that circuit's maximum, which in this case is 24 amps. We drove 30 miles round trip to Sand Hollow every day for the 3-day event, and we charged up the car every evening from the dryer outlet in 2 to 3 hours, depending on how much we drove that day. Over those 3 days, we had tremendous fun watching the contestants show off their skills at 5 challenges on the first day, and on the second day up a 1.3 mile Class 8 buggy trail while towing an Isuzu Trooper. On the third day, we talked with vendors and they had the awards ceremony. I'll show you a couple of brief clips of the highlights from all 3 days. If you're interested in seeing more of the fun we had throughout the event, I'll include links in the description below to all the videos I made, and I'll also put a card above to the event playlist.
It's digging hard. It's digging, but it's moving.
He's got to struggle a lot more on this one.
you heard of anybody building any electric rock crawlers?
So depending on what you're talking about, cars like this, I know 3 people building electric.
Really?
rock
Wow.
crawlers right now.
The winner of the first ever Wrecker Games. Everyone, it's been real. Good night.
It's time to go home. It's been an amazing trip. I highly recommend coming. So to the rest of today now, we're just going to be driving here from St. George back home to the Salt Lake City, Utah area. Just as a quick update on the car, we've been charging it from the house this whole time. The last couple of days, I haven't really covered it because we're just plugging it in. It's just topping up the car each day. Right now it's at 99% and it just stopped. I'm going to show you the on the display. We can go to the distance option right here, and then it will show us that we currently have 245 miles of rated range on a nearly full charge at 99%. So just to give you an idea, our car now has 126,000 miles on it. And so we have experienced some battery degradation. Obviously, when the car was new, it was, I think, 270 miles of range. So we've lost some, but that's what is to be expected. And from here out, the degradation is slower and slower over time. This is the whole route for today. So we're down here in St. George. It's estimating that we'll charge in Beaver and then the Nephi supercharger and then get home here. Right now it's estimating that we'll get to the Beaver supercharger at 34%, spend half an hour there, go to the Nephi supercharger and get there at 15%, spend 20 minutes, and then get home with 22%. So let's go see how this actually plays out. We're plugged in here at the Beaver supercharger. It looks like 86 kilowatts is what we've peaked out at. The car is at 29% upon arrival. The car right now is estimating that we'll be here for 40 minutes, and we'll see. We'll wait till this Nephi supercharger arrival is at a minimum of 10%, and then we'll go. It's now about 50 minutes later. We stayed here longer than we really needed to, and now we're gonna get to the Nephi supercharger with 19% remaining. And we're down to a 30 kilowatt charge rate. And so let's get on the road. Oh, and we're at 83%. We just arrived at the Nephi supercharger, and this location has been really a busy location for several months now. And right now is no exception. So we have a completely full spot there with all of it occupied. We have somebody randomly waiting over there, which is a weird place to wait. That's not usually where we wait. And then behind me, we have a car in that direction and over that direction behind us. So the problem with this location, or one of them, is there isn't a really good place to line up to wait when you have to. It looks like somebody is just now leaving. Yep. So now we'll go in after the next person leaves. We've been waiting for 6 minutes now, and we have someone leaving. So let's get plugged in, and we arrived here with 24% on the battery. Looks like we maxed out at 76 kilowatts. Right now the car is calculating that we'll need to be here charging for 20 minutes, and we will probably just go ahead and do that. We are going to be doing some more driving today though, so I am going to let it charge up a little bit more so I can make sure that we have enough to do what we're going to do. We've been here for a while. We are now charged up enough to get home at 45%, and like I said, we are going elsewhere today, so I needed extra charge to be able to do that, and that will be enough for me. So the car is now at 72% and 38 kilowatt charge rate. So we're going to unplug and go. The entire drive back was 281 miles and took 3 hours and 37 minutes of driving and 1.5 hours of charging. Keep in mind though that not all of that charging was required just to get home, since we got home with 43% remaining because I needed some additional range for driving later in the day. The entire round trip was 741 miles and we used 278 kilowatt hours to drive that distance, which equates to 375 watt hours per mile on average. Or to think of it the other way around, we drove 2.66 miles per kilowatt hour on average. Considering our Model S now has 126,000 miles on the odometer, the supercharging speed is definitely slower than it was when it was new, even when it was new to us, which we got it at 63,000 miles on the odometer. That being said, I'm pretty okay with the speed being slower because it's free supercharging. The newer cars have much faster charging, so that's great, but they're having to pay for it. And you know, it would have cost us probably around $100 round trip for this to go all the way down to St. George and back. I just got home and the battery is at 43%. Wasn't that trip so much fun? The car worked great getting us there and back. And I hope this has been helpful, seeing the information around, you know, the charging logistics and what it took for the car to get us there, but especially the fun time that we had at the off-road Wrecker Games. And I definitely intend to go next year if I can. Go check out the other channels. I'll list in the description below of this video the 5 competitors' YouTube channels, and go check them out. And with that, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.